scrunched. That's not how we do it. I am a sweaty monster. Hi, I'm soliciting your advice.
And it will have its reckoning.
This was also a good scrap busting project. That was not as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. I could continue to be wrong. See what I'm saying? We've come this far being renegades. Why stop now? Oh, hi. Welcome to Sewing Studios. I am Jo, and this week we are gonna address this because I am at my limit with my scalp. For those of you that have been around for a while, like, I have had short hair for a very long time, different iterations of it, but the reason I've kept this specific style, cut, whatever, for so long is because every time I start getting any length, if you can't tell, this whole section of my hair is shaved. And you may already be seeing the issue. I can't really tell because I'm not facing the camera when I turn around like that. So my hair is very thin and there's not a lot of it, and my scalp is bad, but my hair is so dark. So anytime I start to get any length, it just looks stringy and patchy and like I'm balding, and that's not something I like experiencing. I am currently on a treatment plan for what may be the wrong thing. My dermatologist said I have scalp eczema and we're treating it with a medicated shampoo. I don't know if it's making it better or worse because it has been excruciating lately. And I have those like big, dry, scaly, are they called plaques? I don't know. I've never experienced anything like this. And maybe they've been there for a long time and I just didn't analyze my scalp. I have had like dry skin, but all of me is dry skin. Like, if you looked closely at my palms right now, I don't know what's happening to me. It didn't seem that wild for my scalp to feel itchy in the way that it has. But then like looking at the sections, I thought it was just because I would only wash my hair once a week because I color it and that like helps preserve the color. And I like trained my hair over months and months and months to be able to go that long between washes without getting super grimy. I would wash this part, the shaved part, with shampoo if I got really sweaty doing a farmer's market or an event or, you know, whatever. God forbid I go to the gym, which I actually have been doing for no other reason than I have been very depressed all summer. And if that's how I've been feeling in the nice weather months, granted, summer's not my favorite time of year because I am a sweaty monster. I don't want to get drop kicked into the seasonal depression side of things now that we're into October and beyond that. So I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Could be worse. It's not great, but it could be worse. Anyway, I know most of you aren't here for my medical or mental history, but just to give some context as to why I'm gonna test out some of these patterns. And also, hi, I'm soliciting your advice if you have any experience with scalp things, because is this psoriasis? I am in a lot of discomfort, but I'm gonna stick it out with the treatment plan we're already on, see if things get better, and then I will make a follow-up with my dermatologist if it's not after like a month and see where we're at. But in the meantime, I want to cover my head as much as possible. So what I've been doing is the tried and true Rosie the Riveter action where I get a little, you know, mid-2000s bump going. I tie it up in the front here, and then we just tuck this under the knot. There's some finesse to this, helpful if I'm looking in a mirror, but you know. Then this little tail, I just tuck back here. And I like the look of this. People have said it's very cute when I do it. It suits my general vibe. I picked orange because my hair feels like it's on fire, but also just going a little bit Halloween-y, right? My problem with this is I don't have any hair to hold it in place on the back end. So I am constantly adjusting it because it's a woven. So there's a little give because I fold it on the bias. So there's like a little stretch to this edge here, but not enough to like want to hug my head. It doesn't want to stay on. So I feel like I just spend all day adjusting it and pulling it back down and like keeping it over my ears. I don't fight with like a beanie that much, but I feel like I end up channeling my inner George Clooney from The Perfect Storm whenever I am wearing a beanie. I've been trying to find some like softer, less warm and skewing more feminine type of head coverings. So if you have any thoughts on this, any looks that you enjoy, any other kind of headscarf thing. The thing with a lot of other headscarf options is it doesn't cover like this part that is one of the sections. I want to cover this whole chunk. I'm okay if there's some hair peeking out up front because I have the hair on top. But this is making me want to just pick some of my very favorite fabrics and turn them into bandanas. Maybe have this part be a little longer. Just have it maybe be a slightly bigger bandana. That'd probably help. Or make it a bandana and like have some kind of elastication in the back, and maybe that would help. I have not delved much into head coverings in general. I'm sure I made a lot of like costume hats in my day. I do have a pattern that has been sitting around for forever. I'm sure I thrifted this and got it for like $1 or 50 cents. And it's been sitting around forever because I'm not usually a hat gal. And even something like a baseball hat or like the Sunny Fox Apothecary hats, they don't cover like here down. And that's the part I want to cover. The very top of my head is fine. This, the crown, I think. Also maybe fortuitous timing with me trying to learn how to style wigs and stuff. I think I talked about that more in the Patreon exclusive like bonus video I put up earlier this month. But I am trying to just learn how to do wigs, even just the very basics, because it's something I've never sought out. And I own a bunch of wigs is the thing. Maybe I start wearing fun wigs. There's a lot of options, and I thought it would be an interesting journey to share because there's a multitude of reasons as to why people would want to cover their head, be it hair loss or just whatever, if you just don't feel like washing it that day. I thought this might be a helpful journey to take you on with me. And like I said, this is my go-to if I'm just not feeling it. I used to wear bandanas the 90s art girl kind of way, where you just tie it around and have the flap hanging down the back. But that does not cover the back of my head, like the base of my skull, in the way that I want. So we're sticking with this. Also, there's just the like fun retro rockabilly vibe to it. I'm only gonna do half of these hat patterns because some of them are not speaking to me. I'm not like a big brim girly, and I don't like the one that has like the big tassels at the end. That feels like what you wear when you're a teenage snowboarder, and I don't really like that for me. So we're gonna do styles C, D, and E. I feel very silly because I spent so much time digging through my scrap bin. This was also a good scrap busting project, I will tell you that. You gotta get a little creative with some of the pieces, but I think this is a good way to use up smaller bits of knit. And you can always piece stuff together. We love a good patchwork color block situation. I was looking at all the pattern pieces that said view D, and I was getting so stressed about like all these brim pieces because I thought there was some other band that was going to be involved in any of this. And I realized, right, one of the pattern options is like a fitted turban section and then a brim that goes over it to turn into a bucket hat style thing. So I spent all this time stressing and cutting and like wasting fabric on pieces I am never going to use because that's not actually one of the designs I was going for. I just got caught up in like, oh, these pattern pieces, like these numbered pieces, go with this style option. Let me make sure I cut all of these out, because I've never made these before, so I didn't know what went to what. The first one is basically one piece and then like a little extra scrap you tie into a sash. A bow? Kind of a bow type thing. You can use anything for that though, because it gives this little like the tails. I like these little bits, so I'm okay with like little tiny knotted details. The only piece I ended up using, other than the tie, for view D, is just like a big rounded square piece that had 4 darts in it. And initially I didn't listen to the pattern, and even though I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, I thought I knew better than the pattern, so I didn't bother reading it. And it says specifically when you sew the darts, which I also normally don't backstitch at the point of a dart, but because it's a knit, I didn't stress about it. It's gonna be fine. But the darts, you end up matching 2 darts to each other on either side, because there's 4 total, and then you fold the piece in half and stitch it right sides together. The pattern says, trim the dart down, press the seams open. I mostly just didn't want to press anything, which I didn't really have to do. So I just went ahead and I stitched it all down, and then it calls for this like elastic channeling. So I did some more top stitching and then inserted the elastic. And not only were the darts making it harder to get the like elastic feeder thing through, if you use a safety pin, whatever tool you're using to put the elastic through the channel, having 2 full darts going opposite directions made it very tricky. It was like a bunch more layers to deal with. But also because instead of having a tiny small section where there was the seams in addition to the 2 layers of fabric being sewn right sides together, because I left the full darts and I sewed them down in the same direction, there were 6 layers of fabric that made it not scrunch up evenly. It just altered the functionality of it by not trimming the darts down. Once I did my first run through and basically finished the whole pattern, I realized like, oh, the scrunching isn't working like I want because of the darts. And also, just using elastic, it is not closing up this circle in the middle as much as I would like, because pattern shows it with the tie and the scrunching in the back, but I actually really like how it looks in the front because it's kind of mimicking this type of situation with stretchy fabric. It's so comfortable too. I have a big head, so I might make the pattern a little bit bigger in some ways. I think there's ways I can tweak this to make it work a little better for me. I unpicked everything basically and did trim down the darts. I'm glad I went through the effort of doing that. There's something about unpicking seams, as long as I'm not in a rush for anything, it's just very zen. It's very repetitive. You don't have to think much while you're doing it. It's good to like watch a YouTube video and zone out while I'm doing that. So I actually don't mind unpicking seams, which honestly surprised me because I had 2 rows of top stitching, the initial like construction seam, and then unpicking the darts and stuff. It was a whole to-do. It's okay to just like chill and take your time with things, you know? So yes, I regret not doing the dart thing that the pattern told me to do, but I also then ignored a bunch of the things that the pattern was telling me to do. So I ended up omitting the elastic and instead took a needle and some like heavy duty thread and did essentially cartridge pleats. I wasn't initially trying to be like super precise about this, but I kept the pleating like short, so that meant I needed more of them, and it made the circle a little bigger, and I wanted a smaller one. So I actually went back and redid all of this like hand stitching and just did wider pleats because it ate up a lot more fabric. I don't know if that hole, because it's meant to be at the back, is for like a ponytail or whatever, or just people that don't mind showing the base of their head. Oh, also there was this pattern piece that just said elastic guide, and I assumed, oh, it's calling for elastic. I use the elastic guide, right? This is what it's for, but didn't even look to see what pattern the elastic guide piece was associated with. I think it's for the beret, which we're about to start making, so like not a crisis. I cut that initial elastic and I was like, this is longer than the edge of the turban. What are we doing? And then, wouldn't you know it, once I read the steps of the instructions, it said just cut 6 inches of elastic and feed it through. I don't know. Sometimes when there's a block of text, it's like I see that it's words that I know and it's English and it's a language I understand, but I cannot process it. And maybe because I'm on my period, my brain is extra mushy when that's going on. And this is the thing, right? There's a lot of patterns, like I've made princess seam dresses, bodices at least, a bunch of times. So I can probably fudge my way through without explicit instructions on how to construct things. But I specifically don't know anything about how hair things go together. I couldn't tell what was gonna go where and how things were gonna end up going on a head while I was sewing this until like the last step, which is exciting. I'm glad there's still whole worlds of patterns that I just have no grasp of because I haven't ventured into that section of sewing. So like Very cool. I have so much to learn, but still couldn't be bothered to like read through stuff ahead of time. Learning curves for sure for this first one. I haven't done the proper try on now that I redid the closure because I want to jump into sewing the other two options together. So there's just a different kind of like twisted hair scarf thing and then a beret. And those look pretty straightforward to put together. This one I just did seemed the most complicated, so I'm glad I got that out of the way and like gave myself a good chunk of time to do it yesterday. So let's see how these go, and then we'll do a little test fit and see if any of them are a winner. I'm currently thinking these are going to be a breeze, no problem whatsoever. Where when I started on that first one, I expected it to be a bit of a slog trying to figure stuff out. So we'll see. I could continue to be wrong. Also, goddamn, it's time for coffee. Okay, I'm in the middle of working on the beret and realized like, oh, this needs interfacing and lining and slightly more involved. So not that I'm saying I'm not going to finish this. And I know the whole point of this video is to experiment with different styles and see if I like them. But as I am racing the clock, because again, my period is here once more and it will have its reckoning. This morning hasn't been too bad, but this ain't my first rodeo. I know what's a-coming. Blah, blah, blah. Excuses as to why I'm skipping this. So we're going to the very simple seaming pattern C. It's just two of these pieces. I have my two pieces here. Let's see how straightforward. Looks like I'm stitching right sides together this whole shape here. Then hemming it. Oh, it's just gathering stitches. Yeah, it just shows gathers here. So that could also potentially be elastic. We'll see how things fit. Again, I have a really big head, so I'm probably going to try to do a smaller seam allowance. Let's put this together. Oh, I'm stitching one side, right side, and one side, wrong side. That's not how we do this. That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it. How did I still sew it wrong after all that? I still stitched it with one on the wrong side and one on the right side. And you know what? To be completely honest with you, if I didn't notice until it was too late multiple times, we're just going to go ahead with it. I'm not going to worry about it. It's not that noticeable. So we're going to hem it. And I'm going to be so for real with you right now. I'm sure most patterns have a specific seam allowance that you're supposed to do, especially if it's a zigzag stitch. I don't care. But even if I'm doing a precise woven, there's darts, there's really fitted structural bits. It's whatever the edge of my sewing foot is. It's just going to be whatever that is. So usually it's 3/8, which is about half an inch, or no, 1/4 inch smaller than a lot of patterns are calling for, like 5/8 of an inch. It's probably not a crisis. If I'm sewing a pattern for the first time and I'm trying it and it's telling me this specific amount, guaranteed any other time I'm sewing, I'm just using the edge of my foot. So I just kind of stick by it because that way it's consistent, because I don't trust myself to remember, oh, this specific one needs 1/4 inch seam allowance versus 7/8 seam allowance on this one. Like, I'm just always going to use the same amount. And then I know any adjustments I'm making is with that amount in mind. So just a little thing about me, my stubborn ass. I only sometimes listen to parts of the pattern. All right, so it looks like we've got very long hair tube. Not tube, it's closed off on the end. But the only instruction now that it's sewn together and hemmed is to do gathering stitches up the long edge till about the curve point. There were notches on the pattern here and here that say to stop doing the gathers there, but you do that on both sides. So like the front and back are going to have it. I think I'm going to like this, but we'll see. Again, I have a big head, so I might have to remake these and adjust for that. And this is my heavier duty thread that I doubled through the needle. So I like folded the thread so I had 2 strands, put that through and doubled that. So that's how I have 4 strands at once I have found that extremely helpful if I'm doing any kind of hand sewing, unless it's a very delicate blind hem or something. And to do the gathers, I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm just gonna bury the knot on the inside. And I'm just gonna like weave this in and out as I go along. Get it nice and scrunchy. So just doing a running stitch. That's what I was looking for, is running stitch. Just working my way up. Also, can you hear my tummy grumbling? I'm at the point in my menstrual cycle where I am an insatiable trash bin of a human and I just need any and all snacks. And then my tummy gets upset because I'm filling it with caramel corn and food that's too spicy for someone of my heritage to be consuming. Okay, so we have our running stitch and then we scrunch. That was not as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. Apologies. It said to pull the stitches as tight as I can. So that's what we got going on. And then I'll just tack that on the inside and repeat on the other half. All right, gang. Now for the moment of truth. Oh, I definitely tied my actual hair into that. It's fine. Everything's fine. Let's do the one I just finished. Ooh, too scrunched. Too scrunched. If I do mega scrunching in the front, but then yeah, just less scrunch in the back. What do we think? I really like this, like the gather on here. I think, yeah, if I just do a lighter gather around back. I don't know, is this essentially just a beanie with some ruching? Not the best. This isn't like my favorite thing I've put on, but in a pinch, maybe prefer that over a beanie. Then this Trixie one. Initially, I had tried it on like this. This is not what I want, where it's just flat. But flipping it around like this, you see what I'm saying? I like this one a lot. It's a little tight on my head because I have a giant melon. I feel like Heed from So I Married an Axe Murderer, which my siblings would literally quote that movie at me when I was sitting on the floor. Because I'm also tall. So if I was sitting on the floor too close to the TV, they couldn't see past my giant noggin. But I gotta tell you, I like it. I like it a lot. Is there anything I would change? I don't know how to make this less intense. I guess that's the big curve scrunched up, but I don't want to shorten it this way. I don't know. I'm gonna just keep wearing this for a bit. I like it a lot. This really makes it for me. And then the hole isn't so big, you know? Where before it was bigger and then I was like, should I be sticking a flower in there or something? Oh, if you have any thoughts or advice, I would love to know. For this time specifically, sometimes I'll talk about health stuff and I don't want unsolicited advice, but I am actively soliciting it, so go nuts. I think that's gonna do it for me. I am definitely devolving into possibly floor time for the rest of the day. Anticipate being in rough shape very soon. So thank you for letting me completely skirt around the beret again. I would like to revisit it, perhaps find some good raspberry fabric. I actually do think I have a raspberry knit that could work. It could work. Last minute Halloween costume ideas. I have some other stuff that, okay, they're gonna be last minute, but will involve like, hey, you gotta sew one item to have this be a last minute costume, where normally it's like, hey, do you want to stick some tape under your shirt and then you'll look like a Snorlax? I don't know that I have a lot of those ideas left, but I think we're due for a fun last minute Halloween video. I don't know that I did one last year. Open to suggestions, you know, if you got anything floating around your noodle, happy to oblige. Suggestions or requests like, hey, how do you throw this character together really quick? That could actually be a really fun way to do it. If there's someone you want to see me dress up as, please let me know. Otherwise, yeah, I mentioned I have a October bonus video up over on Patreon if you are so inclined. I think I have it set up where you can like do a one-time payment if there's a specific video you want to watch. I do a monthly bonus video every month, as implied by the title. Sometimes I'll make an extra post here or there. If you want more posts, let me know. I just don't want to like spam people's email because I know for me, the people I follow on Patreon, I get email notifications every time they post anything. So I don't want to like overwhelm you with my presence. But yeah, thank you to everybody over on Patreon for making this happen and letting me have a job that allows me to devolve into floor time when needed. I cannot express to you how much I appreciate having the leniency there to just be on well, because it happens a lot. So thank you. And to everybody that came along this journey, it was a little chaotic, but I feel like I learned a lot. This was neat. And I do want to make more. I will be making that goddamn beret. Anyways, I will see you back here with another video in 2 Fridays, perhaps some last minute Halloween shenanigans, you know? Thank you so much for hanging out. Ooh, I saw a really snarky comment on the internet, as it were, that was like, why don't these people with these fucking ring lights just put a diffuser of some kind over it? And I was like, let's test it out. Are you going to be less annoyed now? Listen, I have glasses and you're just going to have to deal with it.